get through. Alright, take one each. And I'll get one to it. Yes, what we're going to do, the smoking ceremony, the smoking actually cleanses you, gets the bad spirits off you, and helps you have a successful, good thoughts. Yeah? Now notice this one in your so this smoke is eucalyptus. So good. Fine. Yes. So you come around here so you can get some smoke. So you put this in there.
Excuse me.
All over you.
Gentlemen, it is my great honor to invite His Majesty, the King, to the stage. Your Majesty.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Uncle Andrew, for your words and enlightening me in your history. I'm not that known to that part of Australia's history. But I will start with Governor General, Attorney General, Governor, Premier, Ministers, Excellencies, but first and foremost, friends of Denmark and Australia. Thank you once again for making us, Mary and I, feel so warmly welcome in your unique and beautiful country. As you know, this is our first visit as King and Queen of Denmark, and yet being down under never fails to make us feel so down to earth. And let me take a little moment of your time here to share a short story, a little story, from our first official visit to Australia a year after our wedding. Very exciting, we were received cordially like this time, and we were very gobsmacked of what we heard and met and saw, etc. and felt. So picture this, we'd gone to see the exhibition Sculpture by the Sea in Sydney. Mary was chatting with some of the people who had shown up to say hello, and I stood next to Mary and I overheard a young boy standing next to his mother asking her, Mommy, who is that boy next to Mary? That's how it is occasionally. And in the eyes of Australians, I suspect I shall always be the one standing next to Mary. And this is perfectly okay and all right. Let it not be said. I take that as very much as a compliment, so thank you for that. And with this little anecdote, it gives me a great pleasure to give the floor to your daughter, my queen, our beloved Mary.
Det her er helt specielt. Det er meget sjældent. Det har jeg ikke oplevet før til et returarrangement. Nu er det altså dronning Mary, der overtager skåltalen.
It's a bit of an introduction to these. I don't think you're a boy anymore, you're a bit of a man. Wow. It's simply so special to be able to have the opportunity to speak to all of you here this evening who share common interests and ambitions. And it's so easy to have a foot in each camp tonight. I've been here a few days now, and previous experience has taught me that my Aussie accent tends to return, and my choice of words also seem to get better as the days go by. So I'll wait and see if that actually is the case when I mingle a little bit later and hear your thoughts. Melbourne is a great city, and the Royal Botanical Gardens boast a beautiful and diverse nature close to its centre. Now, I used to live in South Yarra, just off Toorak Road, so these gardens were my backyard. So I personally couldn't think of a better place to host this evening. Now, One might think that two countries so geographically far apart, with different climates, landscapes, histories, languages and cultures, would see the world very differently. From my perspective, and I suspect from many of your perspectives, we see two societies that are remarkably alike. And you can imagine that was a huge relief for me when I'd already fallen for the Crown Prince of Denmark. Both our countries believe in democracy, in gender equality and social equity. We are environmentally aware and share a deep respect and love for nature. We share a strong commitment to welfare and an understanding of the importance of community. We have an eye for those who are vulnerable and extend a helping hand. We value the work-life balance, and we recognise that physical and mental health are closely connected. We generally say what we mean and do what we say, unless of course we're being sarcastic, which is often the case in both Danish and Australian humour. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and getting ahead of yourself is frowned upon. In Danish, we call it janteloven, and in Australian, the tall poppy syndrome. This common ground forms a solid foundation for collaboration, and that is precisely why we are here. Frederik and I are delighted that such a strong and diverse Danish business delegation has travelled here to Melbourne to meet their Australian counterparts, to strengthen existing partnerships and explore new ones, all in the pursuit of a noble, but also profitable ambition of a greener, more secure and sustainable future. Yesterday, we visited the landmark social housing towers in Prague and learned how Danish expertise in retrofit solutions can help address a fundamental question: whether to demolish and rebuild or upgrade existing structures with new technology and reuse of existing materials. Tomorrow, in Hobart, we will be introduced to one of 3 Australian-built battery-operated ferries that will soon provide a green link between the Danish regions. There is no doubt that the world we knew has changed. And in challenging and uncertain times like these, we turn to friends and partners. And Denmark and Australia are both. That is why this state visit has come at such an opportune time. Not only do we have much to learn from one another, we also share a common vision for the future. All these commonalities connect us. One thing we don't share, however, is language. And Danish is not a language one simply picks up. Let me tell you. We only give or take, with only give or take 6 million people in the world speaking Danish, mastering English has been a good strategy for the Danes. While our Viking ancestors plundered and pillaged with success, today's Danes, and lucky for you, are more about trading and collaboration through strong and equal partnerships. So language is not a barrier. However, some Danes may struggle with the more colloquial or slang Australian language. Now, the Danish language is difficult to hear. For example, when a sentence starts or stops, or even a word for that matter. And we like to join an unimaginable amount of words together to create a new term. Special lag praktiseringsplanlægning stabiliseringsperiode. 51 letters, that is, and don't ask me what it means. And then there are words like bidrag and bedrag. The first means contribution, the other means fraud. Now, it's all about which syllable you stress. A little difference with big problem material. And to the Danes, if you're sitting across from a new business partner, and in conclusion they say, "And Bob's your uncle," spontaneously you might answer, "Sorry, I don't have an Uncle Bob." And if you do have an Uncle Bob, you might say, "Well, how do you know my Uncle Bob?" Basically what your new or potential partner is trying to say is that something is straightforward or easily accomplished. A confusing phrase, but with a positive meaning. So if a house is a culture, then language is the key to the door. And with that little introduction, you'll need to find another way to get to know each other. But luckily, beer and sport we have also in common. In closing, I would like to thank everyone that has been involved in making our trip to Uluru, Canberra, Melbourne, and I'm sure also Hobart so very special. It touches me deeply that my family and I are always welcomed with such warmth and interest, and that we continue to have a place in the hearts and minds of Australians. Being remembered is nothing ever to be taken for granted. And it is an endearing Australian trait that when an Australian is considered to do well abroad, you take pride in the fact that they are one of your own. And forever on will be known as our, insert name here. So in my speech to Frederik for his 50th birthday, which is now some years ago, we're getting close to 60, I said, vores rødder går gennem hele livet. In English, our roots grow throughout our entire life. I feel so incredibly privileged that my roots belong to both Denmark and Australia. Thank you.